Firefighting Intelligent Robotic Entity. Our team, FourCoreEngine, and I'm Jeffrey Davis.
Joshua Patriotis.
I'm Jeremy Klotz.
I'm Seth Lewis.
So, firefighting is an inherently dangerous and can cause lifelong medical issues. Our robots lower that risk for emergency personnel. They can be deployed in a lot of different situations, from urban and rural fires to state and federal, and can be used by the Department of Defense and the U.S. military as well.
Our robots are breaching, search and rescue, firefighting, and first aid.
Breaching robot sensors include gas sensor for gas levels, force sensor, and a distance sensor for computing distances back. And it is controlled by an IR remote. Its design is of ram built and on four wheels. The control functions on the remote are as follows in this flow chart. Depending on which button is pressed is the action that the robot will follow.
The search and rescue has sensors, ultrasonic distance sensor, and infrared motion sensor to determine where a victim may be, and a communication to talk with the victim. The flow chart shows the control functions. What buttons pressed will determine what action is done.
Fire suppression robot was designed with a square body with round tracks. It's got a IR sensor because it's remotely piloted. It's got two motors for the wheels, a front-mounted camera for navigating, and a valve that controls opening and closing the extinguishing tanks. Here's the algorithm. Because it is remotely piloted, it's just waiting for an input response from the IR remote for the movements forward, backward, left, right, and open and close for the tank valve.
This is the first aid robot. It's got IR sensors for temp, servo motor for the arms, and DC motor to move the wheels. All of it's controlled by buttons on the robot itself. This is the flow chart for the buttons. If it's pressed, what it does, if it's released, and then what it does as well.
So first, the breacher robot will move towards the door, and it will either strike it with the hammer or ram it with the gas sensor and distance sensor indicating both gas level and distance. Then it will be fire suppression.
Yeah, once fire suppression makes entry, it is navigated around by the operator with the front-mounted camera, and the operator will open and close the tank valve as needed to extinguish the flames.
After the fire is suppressed, the search and rescue robot will make entry, and using the motion and infrared sensors, it'll determine where a possible victim may be. It'll use the communication on the robot to determine how incapacitated that person may be.
Then the first aid robot will go in, and depending on what medical stuff it needs to do, it'll accomplish that via the buttons on the robot itself.
So some different or a different breaching robot is Vantage Breacher. Some negatives of it are the initial cost of being 65,000. It also has no gas sensor and no IR sensor.
The market equivalent for the fire suppression robot is the Thermite series robot. It's pretty expensive, $96,000 to $278,000, and it is much less mobile because it has to be hooked up to water hose for the pump instead of having onboard extinguishing agents.
The RoboCup Rescue is equivalent to the search and rescue. The RoboCup is $150,000 to $200,000. It has no motion detection, and the battery life is horrible.
The equivalent to the first aid robot is a PackBot 510, and it costs about 250, 300K, so it's a lot of money. It's got no motion detection and no medical equipment, and overall it's large and bulky.
In conclusion, the FIRE fire system of robots was designed to lower the risk to our firefighters and EMS personnel without compromising the service they provide. Each robot was purposely modeled to perform specific tasks that the firefighters would traditionally accomplish.
And then here are references for everything. All right.